The reason I'm in a mask is because I got COVID. And so I've been in isolation for 5 days. Not only just kind of wait this out and be by myself, but kind of recalculate how I was gonna do this series because I had a plan for it. So this week for me was a great example of what happens when you don't have control and what happens when, life gets you. How do you respond? What are you gonna do? I've kind of, reflected on a lot of things and made good use of the time, let's just say. I've had to, in order to say, not only finish this series, but, to think of a way ahead. I know that it's all gonna work out in the end, and it kind of just shifted in some senses. So let's get this mask off real quick. There's times when we need breaks, and this was the perfect time for me. Even though I wanted to keep push forward and I had this vision and this path and everything was kind of structured out, it really reminds me of a verse. It's one of my favorite verses about, as I start trying to get too far ahead. Man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. And what that really means is we can only go so far. We really need help at times. Sometimes we kind of get in our own way. So really, this was kind of a good time for me to kind of sit down and really think about how I'm gonna, do these videos and what's the direction forward, where am I going after now? How does that all tie into health and fitness and this whole Xform series? Well, it ties in a lot because specifically with my calories and my physique, there's a lot of differences now. And these are the things that you're gonna have to think about when you're doing, say, this long time training and all these diet, all this nutrition strategy and trying to plan all this stuff in. You need breaks. It's absolutely essential for your body to rest and recover, your mind to rest and recover, and your spirit to rest and recover. This was perfect for me, and it's something that I'm gonna talk about a little bit, and then I have one finale planned, and then that's it. We're on to one more series, which is the Xform. So what's kind of important, and I've kind of gone through this in the endless series, is like plateaus and how to pass them. And so you're gonna, let's say right now, I'm doing all these nutrient-dense foods, all these advantages that are helping me out. There's gonna come a day where you just can't get any better. And it's important to recognize that, because what'll happen is that you'll get burned out. So in order to say recover our physical, our psychological and spiritual realms, we just need to rest and recover. And it's really difficult, especially when you're not at that goal yet, or you haven't got that, say, physique change, or you're so close, but you can't get there. And I've experienced that, especially when it came to my mile run. I still haven't beat the 6 minutes. So for you, when you're kind of getting to that point, it's kind of important to recognize, you have other systems in place. With the central nervous system is really important in this, especially as you're pushing yourself as far as you can. I was fortunate because getting COVID it would have been considered a terrible thing years ago. And now it was perfect because it helped me rest and recover, because this process is very draining. Not so much to say the actual lifestyle change and doing these advantages, it's actually making a lot of this content and dedicating time to do it. So it's something that I needed, and I used the time wisely, in my opinion. So it's something that, hopefully at some point you'll check out. Now there's a number of different, say, internet resources you could do in terms of, researching active rest, actual rest. There's a bunch of different types of rest. Sleep is gonna be one that comes up a lot. It's really important, and I have been prioritizing the best I can. But when you're sick sometimes, it's really difficult to get that sleep. I have to use, say, medicines. In mornings that my weight was actually up because of, say, all these different, medicines that are helping me feel better, the body will hold more water some days. One of those reasons I really don't like the scale. Some people will get, so focused on the scale, and then a week like this happens, you're sick and your weight changes a lot. And then yesterday morning I was like 190, and then this morning I was 186. So that's a big difference. Number one, I'm not hydrated like I was, even though I'm drinking plenty of fluids, especially when I'm sick. There's no reason to do the scale. I just did it, say, as an experiment and just to see where I was at. Going over the physique really fast is something that I want to talk about too, because there's going to be no change. And even though my weight went down, I could tell, my muscles feel flat. I just don't, feel like I have a lot of energy yet. So this week I'm gonna take it really slow. I'm not gonna push it. Let's talk about something else, which more people are probably interested in terms of, okay, diet and nutrition. And so the advantage this week was actually dropping calories, and 0 calories is one way to do it, or to have less food. There's a lot of different ways you can drop calories, but what I recommend when you start doing it is don't do a lot. Make small changes. If you make, say, 500 a day, that can be pretty significant. And so maybe start with 200 a day, 300 a day. Unfortunately for me, since I've been idle in this garage all week, then it's something that I had to just say, you know what, I don't need a ton of extra calories. I don't need 4,000 calories a day. And actually I dropped to below 3,000 just because it's like, I don't need that extra energy. It's not gonna do me any good other than put on body fat. So I don't need to be in a surplus while I'm sick. I did need to, say, have enough nutrients in it. So I like to have fruits and vegetables, things, hydrate the best I could, had things like liquid IV, just to give my body an opportunity to recover. When you're trying to start saving calories, this is the way I do it. Number one, try and have as much 0-calorie stuff as possible that still gives me the same, say, experience or flavor. Because when I'm in the normal life, right, and I'm having sugary drinks or, not thinking about calories, this stuff adds up. So once you start removing this stuff and replacing it here, those are free calories you just saved. Like, you just get the same experience with no calories. And obviously there's probably gonna be some, you'll notice, like energy drinks, they'll be 10, they tend to round down to make the 0 look better, but that's not the point. It's that you are saving a lot more than you were. And this is something also you're gonna have to find in balance. I don't think it's a healthy thing to start having 0-calorie everything. In the Xform series, I'm gonna be doing a lot of that. But for right now, I integrate it slow because I have to drop calories when I, throw all my cards in. I have my advantages. I'm using all my data, I'm using all my trackers, I'm pushing the body as far as I can. Now that I've rested and recovered, I'm able to say I have to build right back up to where I was and push. And then at some point, it's gonna be another plateau. So we're gonna see how that works out. So now that I've done a lot of the advantages, I actually do still have some, but I'm gonna talk about them in the Xform series because right now for this, say, specific series of Xform and life change, there's enough on the table just to show, the philosophy of where I'm coming from, of why I like to do this stuff over time and how this journey takes, about a year. And it's not something you're gonna do in a week or in a month. It's not overnight. It's something that takes time because, you have to do these spurts where, sometimes we're losing weight, sometimes we're gaining weight, we're going in this, it's not so much about the physique, but it's about the life progress we're making and just being a little bit better each week so that after 1 year, we've climbed and we're in a better place. For this week, actually, I'm gonna just kind of be resting. It's something that I'm really bad about, something I always try and get better at, but I'm just very active. So it's pretty ironic this week that we are doing kind of the opposite of what I was talking about last week, which was neat and constantly moving. And it's really hard to kind of take time for ourselves, especially when we have others in our life, our families, our friends. We have a number of different hats we wear, I always say. Well, there's actually a lot of different ways you can do meditation, and mine's actually kind of specific to me. It's kind of like a hybrid. I have couple different pieces I use from different types. Really helpful for me, especially when it comes to mental coping, just calming my mind. Sometimes, things get cluttered up there and we get overly focused or not focused enough. And I feel a lot better and I feel like, okay, now I'm ready to fill it with something else other than what was in there before. And so it's something you'll want to go look up, especially if you're really interested in it, mental stress, and there's a lot of reasons why you would do this. This was a technique I learned in a leadership seminar a number of years ago, and it was the first time I'd ever been exposed to meditation. And the way I've designed this is the same way it was set up to me, and we turned out the lights in our classroom, and pretty much we just sat there in silence and got to sit in our thoughts. But today, let's just talk about how we're going to do it and how I learned it for the first time I experienced it. We're going to take 5 minutes for ourselves today to just kind of do whatever you need to do. Close your eyes if you're in a dark place or if you're in a little more of a quiet space. There's a lot of areas I like to meditate. It doesn't always have to be, say, in a chair. And I like to usually spend about 15 to 20 minutes. Let's just start with 5. That's just kind of the basic way to start. Now, kind of the goal I have, and good luck if you can do it, it's really difficult, is to clear your mind completely. Get rid of all those thoughts, ideas, things you have to do. Make it an empty space. It's actually a lot harder than it sounds. And if you've never done it before, I guarantee you'll be thinking of something. It's hard to kind of clear the mind, but it's really important in, say, stress reduction, and I call healthy lifestyle and balance, because there's just times where our minds are overloaded, especially in a fast-paced culture and societies. So one of the first things that I like to do is get into, say, maybe a dark corner or somewhere where there's a little bit less light, a little bit less noise. Do your best to kind of clear your thoughts, clear whatever garbage is up there. There's going to be an overlay footage of me playing volleyball, but that has nothing to do with the message. Really, it's just a visual filler. And the point is, you shouldn't be watching the screen anyway. It's just something I put in there as a filler in order to where it doesn't look like a black screen and super weird, Could have put nature or something like that, but I just don't feel like filming it. And I kind of like volleyball, so why not? I hope it's something that you'll like and something that you'll, take to heart, and something that'll actually be really useful, because it is something that's very, I would call, a great tool, and you can research it, and there's a lot of different types out there. So here we're about to get started. We're almost on the timer, so I'm going to count this down. If you'd like to close your eyes and kind of just set the goal of clearing your head, I think that would be a great start. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go. So that's pretty much all I have for this episode. Till the next episode, take care. Peace out.